guys. Okay, so this is that place where I really see the difference of a leap between Premiere and Final Cut. That making submixes and putting effects on as submixes is so much easier in Premiere. I'm just going to keep using this as an example. Even though I've been doing most of the mixing in Logic on this, I'm just going to pull a few things in to show you guys. We've got the rough edit of the Yeti's voice. And this is a voice that's going to need a whole lot of processing, because this is actually just a human voice that we're changing to make sound like an animal. So I thought this would be a good example of all the processing that can be done. I'm just going to shorten this to here. All right. So if this is our vocal, we could do all of those paths of processing either directly on this clip. Let me play it just for you guys. Let me mute the music out. Of just what this sounds like without any processing. Anyway, you got the idea of what he sounds like. That's just, why is that amplifying me? Yeah, right? I think I might know why it's doing that. Here we go. Okay, there we go. That was weird. All right, anyway, so that's just a guy simulating a Yeti. We're going to have to do a lot of effects on this. That first step of processing I already did on this, of just mixing and editing the vocals and putting presence between them. I did that all in Logic, then just exported this out. So I took room tone between anywhere he was speaking, and I put it between there and crossfaded it and got it all in there. So I could go over here to my audio effects and get a, you see you've got all of these filters. I could do a high pass filter and put it on this clip. Then click on the clip and effects controls and adjust the filter. That's only going to affect that one clip though. And if I had tons of little clips in here of the Yeti's voice, I think it's actually about 30 different clips I've edited together that have made this one clip over in Logic. So I'm just going to remove this filter, even though I could put it here and do this process here. I'm going to get rid of it and show you guys how you can do it to the entire track. This is what will save your life with time, instead of copying and pasting and putting all the filters on. Let's open up our audio mixer. All right, so I've got audio 3 is my Yeti. I'm going to change that track name here to say Yeti. Then there's a little button right up here. You see that little teeny triangle? So what I can do is on my Yeti audio, this is where it's annoying just with my laptop screen size. I've got to scroll back and forth. These are all my effects. Click the down arrow and then I have those same effects, but it will do the entire track. So I'm going to say a high pass filter, which gives a little teeny control here. That's a little bit annoying to use. But if you double click on it in here, actually in this case there isn't more of an effect control. This cutoff is probably fine. Let's listen and see if it's okay. No, it is not. Okay, so this is high pass, so everything that is above this frequency is passing. We need this to actually be much lower now that I look at it. Let's do like, because he's trying to do a low voice, I'm going to do like 20 hertz. Let me type it in, yeah. Let's try 20, and let's see how that sounds. Okay, so I didn't take any of the quality of the voice out. And then I'm going to do a low pass filter in my next send. actually put this in the wrong slot. Can I move it? Because it's going to go from top to bottom. I'll just redo this guy. High pass, 20. And I'm going to say none on this one because it's going to start with the top filters and I want it to apply these filters in an order. So then I'm going to say low pass. And that may work for my low pass. I think I'm probably going to want to go a little higher, but let's listen and see. Yeah, that's taken out some of his high tones, and I want those. So kind of my standard starting point is usually 2,000. So his voice is still pretty much there, but that did remove a little bit of noise. Anything above 2,000 that wasn't being used is now cut out. All right. Now, if I needed to, I could do then that big noise reduction. I really probably don't on this because I recorded it in the ADR suite, but I could do noise reduction if I were to add that pass and just do another effect along the chain. Then I'm going to do some equalization on him to try to make his voice sound a little bit more like an animal. So EQ. Now this is where you can get into a better menu. This is just very simple, and you could switch between each of these little knobs, which will drive you crazy. Or you can double click on it and open up something that looks like a normal EQ. So I'm just going to guess that I want to raise his, I'm going to activate this mid, click on it, and activate the low. I'm going to guess I want to raise his equalization on his low tones. This is your gain is by how much it changes it. Q is how wide the path is. So I'm going to widen this path up so it's just a boost. And then I can use the knob to change the frequency, or I can click and drag, like with the band pass. So let's play and see what that sounds like. All right, I'm going to lower his highs a little bit, too. So let's take a high on here. 1,000 is good. And I'm going to take the gain down. All right. I would probably mess with this a lot more, but there's some basic equalization. Yeah.
Is that the entire track or just that clip, right?
Entire track. So if I had other clips of him, and if I had done this in Premiere instead of Logic of editing his voice, it is like 30 little clips. So every single clip would be affected instead of just the one I'm on. And that's the big difference with Final Cut, where doing this, you really have to do to each individual clip instead of doing it to the entire track. You could nest. Yeah, nesting is how you would get around it in Final Cut, but this is much easier, and you can always go back and adjust, because I can just go back and say, oh, wait, I changed my mind about that high-pass filter. I think it should be 25 hertz. And it's very quick and easy. I mean, you can do that in Final Cut too, but this is just, it's so fast, and it's right there. All right.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Does it matter? I mean, it doesn't matter if you do high pass or low pass first, right?
Those don't matter. The other stuff is what you want to have in order after that, because you want to have those happen, then your equalization. And now I can see, all right, his level is way too loud when he screams. He's peaking out. So I'm actually going to just record my automation on here and use the slider, because now I'm on the level step. I've done my basic processing. So let's see, I'm going to start this here and put this on right, which is going to let me control this later. I'm going to start him low. I'm going to go up a little bit because he's coming near the screen. Bring him back down. bring up his level a little as he's growling. And then if I show this automation down here, I'm going to close that plugin. Show clip volume. Sorry, not clip, track. Show track volume. You'll see all of that automation I just wrote by moving that slider instead of having to click all over the line. So sometimes it's faster to do it that way. Sometimes if it's just, okay, I need this whole thing down, you would just click and drag on the line. But that's that next pass of doing the level. Now let's say we want to compress this, which I do because that extreme in his volume is still too much, even with me having done some level stuff. So I'm going to go onto here and add a compressor, which in here is multi-band compressor. There we go. Okay. Double click on this. With this compressor, you can actually change with the different frequencies what gets compressed. It's still adjusting volume, but doing it to the whole thing. I'm just going to say a real basic. Our lows. Actually, I may be fine with the defaults on this. Yeah, it still compressed it down some. It really did enough for me of just that light compression. And it's just bringing the lows up a little bit, but you would mess with these knobs to find the right setting for the particular time you use it. It may be fine with its default. Actually, let's try bringing this down just a little. Because he's really not a problem of being too quiet. He's more too loud. So that gets my levels down a little more. I don't need a de-esser on him because he's not making, but then you would add that next. So that's kind of some of your basic of that track, let's say. Now, I want to put this in a submix because in reality, this would not be my only dialogue track. I have like 4 dialogue tracks. So we have to create a submix. I'm going to make this smaller just so you guys can see what I'm doing. So if I go down here, I'm going to right click and say add tracks. I don't need any video tracks, but I am going to add audio submix tracks. And let's, we'll just add 2 for right now. You might go ahead and add all of yours for whatever you're doing, but I'm just going to show you guys music and dialogue. And it's just 2 stereo submixes. All right, so if I go up here, I'm going to hide all of these sends because they take up a lot of space. And scroll over, you guys see Submix 1, Submix 2. To keep me from going crazy, dialogue, and music, since I already have music in here. You would normally do your ambience next, though. Then I'm going to go back over to my Yeti, who is technically a dialogue because he's a voice. And instead of it going straight to my master output, I'm going to change it to go to dialogue. So now everything that happens, all of those processes, when I play it, you'll still see like the levels up here going. It's still going and following that automation I wrote for this track. But now I can go over to my mixes, and you also see it on dialogue. I can change the levels here. And it's doing kind of both automations at once. That's why you only do kind of basic levels mixing to make things match for each dialogue track. Then you do your overall dialogue mixing in the submix. Then you could add other effects. If you want all of your dialogue to have a certain effect on it, you can add it here. I'm going to open that back up. And you see we can make sure we're on the right one, dialogue. I could go up and add more effects if I wanted to. So you don't have to do it to each clip. That's what saves you a ton of time, especially if you go back and make changes. So it's really easy to apply an effect to one clip, copy and paste it, and go to all your other clips. going back and changing all of those gets to be really annoying. I'm going to add this soundtrack. Let me turn the volume on for that. And that was what, on audio 2? Let me change this to music. And I'm going to put it in the submix for music. So if we go over here with our dialogue and music submixes, and we play this. All right, I'm going to say that music's too loud. This is a rough score, by the way. Anyway, then you would mix it. And you see we didn't change the music mix. Our volume curve on that is still the same. But if I go down here and look at this music track and show track, should be track volume, right? So I was recording, oh, I was on read. I wasn't recording anything. Throws me off so many times. If you want to write animation, you have to tell it write animation for animating your recording. It was just reading, so it's reading whatever I've told it to do before. So if I tell it write, it's going to write and record what I'm doing with the track banners. Let me just show you guys that really quickly. Play, dialogue, let's change the music. And then you see what I did just affected the volume here. It was changing that line. Right, sorry, no, it's just affecting the dialogue. I did it again. Here we go. Music is actually on right now. Anyway, there are all those little automation dots. So when it's on read, then when you're done writing it, put it on read so that you don't accidentally change it when you don't want to. That makes your life so much easier using those submixes. Can you guys see how that saves a ton of time in the end? Especially if you wanted to apply an effect to all of your music and you had 4 different tracks of music and you had to put a compressor on all of them. You just click a few buttons instead of clicking on every single clip and adding an effect. All right, let me stop that recording.